Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 86th edition of Paola's Studiolo, this time live from Venice. And I'm honored to be in the beautiful home of my dear friend, Mimi Todhunter. Mimi, thank you for welcoming us in.
And thank you, Paula, for having me on your studio for the second time. And I look very much forward to showing you my life in Venice.
So, Mimi, before we take a look at your home and also at your beautiful view of the Grand Canal, can you tell us a little bit about your life and when did you move to Venice, actually?
So I moved to Venice just over 20 years ago. We were living outside of Venice, about an hour and a half from Venice, where my husband had a business. And I came looking in Venice for somewhere to live, realizing I didn't know anybody here at all. So in the end, I said to the girl who was helping me, I think I need to live on the Grand Canal, because at least that way I see the world go by, because eventually everybody comes to Venice. So that's exactly what happened. We found something on the Grand Canal and we've been here ever since.
How was it? Was it hard to find a perfect home for you and your family back then? You had two little boys.
Not so little, but anyway. Well, also I had to consider that my husband was still working outside of Venice. So we are it's an easy, quite easy to walk to Piazza di Roma where we keep our car, and he was able to come in and out quite easily. Because if you're in the northern part of Venice where we were last night at the football match, it's about a 45-minute walk to the other end of Venice to Piazza di Roma. And often the vaporettos in the summer are very full. So we have the independence to be able to walk both to the station from here and to Piazza di Roma, where the garages are, where you keep your car once you come over the bridge.
So, Mimi, when you arrived to Venice 20 years ago, how was the city different than what you live here every day today?
Now we have an ambulance going by. I think you won't hear me at all.
The Grand Canal is a very noisy place. I don't know if you're picking up also the sounds of the Grand Canal, but
we have the windows open, or some of the windows open, because we want you to see the view. Well, I mean, Venice has changed a lot. A lot of the amenities have now gone. We're still lucky enough that we live near a lovely Campo Giacomo Delorio that has a supermarket, a coffee shop, a ferramenta, a couple of good restaurants, um, what else? A supermarket, even an art shop. So I'm very lucky that this is very much still a place where Venetians live. But I have seen in the years I've lived here, a lot of places close, a lot of artisans retire, and it's becoming less and less easy to get a lot of things in Venice that I suppose I could find when I first came here.
yes, on my way here today, I was at San Marco, so thousands of tourists literally in the Piazza San Marco. And then as I walked on my way to the Palazzo here, I saw families with young children in your campo,
Yes,
dogs, elderly. You really kind of see the sense of the life in Venice. People live a lot on the Calle in the Piazza. You
very
see
much
people
so.
in the Vaporetto. There's really no privacy in Venice, isn't it true?
It's a very human city to live in because you're doing most of your moving around is done on foot, or you're in the Vaporetto where you will often see friends or people you know by sight to say hello to. They know you by sight. You might not necessarily know their name. And really, yeah, I think it's a very human place to live. The campo, in particular our campo, is always full of children in the afternoon. The boys play football up against the church, which is partly Byzantine. The priest, I think, doesn't seem to mind too much. And they play old-fashioned games. They play skipping. They do hopscotch. They ride their scooters. They learn how to ride a bike. And up until about the age of 12, they can be in be on a bike in the campo.
And on Tuesday nights in the campo, you actually have tango.
We do during the summer months. And it will start again in next week on a Tuesday night at around 9 o'clock at night. If you come in our campo, you will find that there's tango.
Yes.
and some very good dancers, actually, including Paula.
Well, I do my best. Um, but Mimi, I think, living in Venice is really, really special. And one of the questions that came in through the Instagram to many of your followers who follow your Instagram page, who love your hashtag Mimi's Magical Life in Venice. One of the questions came after so many years of living in Venice. Do you still love it? And is it still beautiful to be here? Or does the beauty get old?
No, never. It's always a magical place to live. The light here is something, no wonder all the painters came here to paint. The light is absolutely beautiful. Any time of year in Venice, it's a very special light because you're on the water. And I think that it's never, there's always something to discover, even after all these years. And during lockdown, what I found was when we were able to walk around, that I was discovering things high up that I'd never seen before because one was always dodging people. And as there were no people on the Cales, I was seeing things that I'd never seen before and really appreciating it.
I think there's really no other city in the world where you could walk for about 2 hours or 3 hours, and everything that you see in every corner around you is beautiful.
Yeah, it's really an open museum here.
And I think that's that makes Venice so incredibly beautiful. What I wanted to suggest now, this is now a perfect kind of light just before the sunset. I would love to see if maybe we can speak on the balcony. We have a wonderful friend, Constantine, who is an incredible Instagrammer from Germany and who has offered his help to help us and kind of do a little videos as we talk about different areas of, well, first of all, maybe view and then in the Palazzo as well. So Constantine will actually take us out on the terrace and show us what Mimi sees every day. Mimi, does this view ever get old?
Never, never. And what's lovely in the morning, if I go out to have a cup of coffee, the sun is rising in the east, we're north facing. And then at certain times of the year, between two palazzos on the right on the Grand Canal, I will see the full moon coming out. It really is magical. Uh, Constantine is now outside on the Grand Canal, and he's looking at Palazzo Vendramin, which is the most beautiful Renaissance building on the Grand Canal. And next to it, if you look to the right, you will see that this is where Wagner lived, where Wagner died. Now he's going right down. He's showing us right down with the Vaporetto shop, which is very handy, it's close to us. And then these two buildings, the red one and the yellow one there, they've never been lived in since I came here. Now the yellow one has somebody living there. Then you will see again, you see where Wagner lived and died, Vendramin, and then you'll see that we also have a west aspect.
So the palazzo is showing up now, maybe the yellow one.
Yes.
That is the one that you never really saw anyone.
Never saw anyone
open.
Yes. And down below is, well, our boat's not there because I have actually a lot of people in the house. My son's gone out with a friend in the boat, but normally we have our boat down below.
What do you see the future of Venice will be? Now we are in a period of the beautiful Biennale. So we see the Palazzi and the Grand Canal lit up with the windows open and actually people going in to visit. but it only happens for a very short amount of time when the art biennale is on every other year.
But since lockdown, we've had so many visitors coming here, and it's more than
A little bit higher.
more than we've ever had before. And they're now charging on weekends to come here, €5 per person on a weekend as a day tripper coming into Venice. Because obviously a lot of people from outside of Venice on the mainland come on weekends. And we have now introduced this. It's a temporary thing to see how it works, perhaps to make sure that not so many people come at one time. So you can book ahead.
Yeah.
And the future of Venice, I hope we have now the Moses, which goes up when we have 130, anything above 130. So I hope that that will continue, that they'll find other ways to protect the lagoon, to protect Venice, and that Venice will always have a future.
Yeah. And to talk a little bit about this entry fee that they started, it's really the trial that started a month ago. And in the first 5 days of the trial, so basically what they do is they have a point in the city, mostly in the train station and in Piazzale Roma, where they stop the visitors coming in and they ask you if you have a code to enter the city. So if you're staying in an Airbnb or in a hotel, you're actually given this code. And if you don't have it, you have to pay €5. You have to register online, and then you will get a code, and then you will be able to pay. If you show up and you have no idea about this rule, you will actually be fined up to €200.
Terrible.
So it's a bit tricky because if you're not,
A lot of people are very confused by it.
yes, I think it's quite confusing, especially for the elderly who are not used to registering, who are not used to being so digital, actually. And but in the first 5 days of this trial, they actually got more in the bank. They got more than they expected in 3 months. So it really is it's proven to be something that will benefit the city quite a bit. And I wouldn't be surprised if other cities like Florence and Rome then start adopting the same procedure.
Sure.
To kind of try to really just to understand how many people are actually visiting a city on any given weekend. So this policy will continue on through the summer, just on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. But maybe to come back to your beautiful life you created here, maybe we can go around a little bit and just show your beautiful living room now with this beautiful light coming in. Let's see if I can, maybe I can try to now, because also I think we have Constantine who is filming, but if you're not able to see Constantine's video, you have this beautiful setting of the sitting room that Mimi has. And Mimi, what makes a beautiful home?
Oh, yeah, that's a beautiful home. Well, my home's quite knocked about because I have a family that's always lived here, plus all their friends. In fact, I have 6 or 7 staying with me. I have my son and his children, my grandchildren, who are on half term. And then I have a friend of my son, who's also one of my adopted sons. He's staying with his wife and nanny and baby. And so tonight, actually, for dinner, we are 8 for dinner tonight. So I like to entertain on weekends or anytime, really. And what makes a home? I think flowers, somewhere comfortable to sit, nice lighting, comfortable beds, linen sheets.
You have a lot of books.
Oh,
The
yes.
books are everywhere in your home.
I have lots of books, not enough places to put them all. So it's just my kind of home that I create myself and try to put it together with things I've collected over time. I love to have beautiful glass on the table and lovely porcelain. Light the table with candles, which we'll do tonight, and produce a lovely menu for everybody. I have my grandson playing with paper aeroplanes, flying them around, so you might see him in the gallery.
Definitely house well lived.
This is the gallery, which I use as a dining room. And the table is all set for dinner tonight. And the menu is we're having melon with parma ham, and sea bass, roast potatoes, and green beans, the little thin green beans. It's just very simple dinner and followed by ice cream afterwards. I started collecting really when I was a single girl living in London. I loved to entertain then. I came from New Zealand, so I didn't also know many people in London when I first arrived. So I used to invite people that I met to dinner. And I collect these silver mugs, tumblers, and I have them on the table. I put water in them. The glass that I have on the table is from Nesa Moretti. It's made hand blown on the on Murano, and silver tumblers, which I put the water. And I try to collect old napkins that I find in France or in Italy, which are the nice big ones. The dinner set I've had for many years that I'm using tonight.
How hard is it to find, maybe, these antique linen? Do people still love them?
Well, I think a lot of people don't like to launder them, but actually they're very easy to launder if you've got a good iron and a little bit of spray starch.
What would you suggest to someone who is just starting out, maybe a young couple?
Well, I have my nephew who's living in Stuttgart, my Australian nephew, who married a lovely girl, the same as Paula. She's from Serbia, but she's a lawyer in Stuttgart. And I started to give them as presents beautiful glass for their tables and encouraging them to buy nice porcelain.
So start little by little.
Start little by little. Yes, you don't have to get everything together.
Yeah.
You can find wonderful things also in auctions, flea markets, antique markets, pieces of silver that make the table look nice or whatever.
Yeah. Mimi, I had a great fortune to actually go with you to Murano.
Yes.
And you introduced me to some of your favorite glass blowers and glass makers in Murano. How are those relationships? When did you meet them first? And
when I was buying glass, I guess. I have to remember now, it's a long time ago. I'm very good friends with Nesa Moretti. That's the three owners there, two cousins and one Giorgio, who makes for a lot of other people as well. He makes for Tiffany. And he very kindly let me come and bring groups. I take sometimes trips with groups of people coming to Venice, or my latest one will be in the Veneto in October, Villas and Gardens of the Veneto. And he allows me to take people in and they see actually what it takes to blow a piece of glass, and the incredible craftsmanship and the years of training to be able to produce each glass the same size or whatever it is that they're making.
yeah,
I have quite a lot of heron, and I love the green and white one. This one here, you can see.
this one.
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
It's from Hungary. This factory is called Heron, and they make in several different colors, but I like this green and white one. And I have a number of them. I have all my big plates are underneath. I just have my glass and my serving dishes here.
And Mimi, the art of setting the table facing, I guess that's the strategy for it. How long does it actually take you if you have a fancy dinner and you really want it, or it's all to be perfect? How long is the preparation?
Well, it depends how many people I'm having. Tonight, this is on my mirrored 18th century table, but I put a cloth. I could have done it with mat, but I thought we were 9. So one person here is going to bed because she's got a baby. And that's my grandson whispering to me. And so I'm just doing it with a tablecloth, and I put a pad underneath. The other night I did a dinner for Paula. We were 16 at the table, so I put 2 tables together and had this mirrored table as the serving table with lots of candles on it. And so it really depends on. I have round tables I can do where I can put 8 to 10 people at each table. Um, it takes me a day or two to, if I'm doing something very special, to get it all up
Yeah.
and get it organized.
Maybe you always have fresh flowers. That's a
I
requirement.
love flowers, and sadly, I don't have a garden. I have a courtyard, but I don't have a big enough garden to pick them in, like when I lived in the country. Yeah.
I know now is the time of jasmine, so the beautiful smell of jasmine is actually coming through your home.
Through the window.
Yes.
Yes. Just making the candles drip. Nancy forgot to shut the window.
Oh, yeah. How beautiful are the candles. Mimi, where do you get the candles? Is it
I
easy
u-
to get?
Well, that's another thing. I used to have a fantastic candle factory in Maghera, just outside of Venice, where I could have everything, any size made, any shape. And they were lovely wax candles. And unfortunately, in lockdown, closed down and didn't reopen. So now these pink candles, which and it's a lovely light, especially for a female's face, I get them in Rome. So I take a suitcase down and fill up each time I'm in Rome and bring them back. So this is my latest lot. I was in Rome just sort of over a week ago.
Absolutely beautiful. And I think even this beautiful candle holder actually has a history, right? Doesn't it come from one of the ships?
It's off the Rex. And actually, I think I have to go and shut the window because Constantine's going to do it because the candles are blowing. The wax is going to go everywhere. Thank you.
So maybe tell us about this room. Where are we now? This is the fanciest room of any Venetian palazzo, isn't it?
This is well, we're on the Piano Nobile. And of course, these houses were built for tradesmen. I mean, they were trading. The Venetians, when they came out here, decided to look to the east, and they were trading with what today is Istanbul, Constantinople, and they built these houses really as working and entertaining houses, palaces on the Grand Canal. So down below they would have a lot of storage for whatever they were trading, and then the first floor would have been for showing their wares, the Piano Nobile for inviting people up here to see what they had, whether it was spices, silk, perfumes, and then they would usually sleep upstairs. This is the 15th century palazzo. It's been altered a bit over the years, but it's more or less on the outside, I think, as it was when it was built.
How is it to live in Palazzo in the winter time? I was here a few times, and when the winter is really when the darkest and the coldest month, it's really hard to warm it up and keep it warm. I kind of wonder what would have happened in the Renaissance.
Yes, well, of course, they had fires then, but we're not allowed to have fires anymore. And then they had these burners. You sometimes see them around, these low burners that they would put under the tables and so on. So it was a different way of heating. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to have fires anymore because that's something in the winter with the fog that would look is really nice if you have fires.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I put a lot of candles around in the winter to have the light with candles other than being able to have a fire.
Mimi, thank you very much for taking us into your home. And I know you have a company here, you have family here. Maybe we can just take a look and see if there's any questions in the chat, and maybe you can answer a few of them.
Okay. So I have a son who's a portrait painter, and he painted his son, Jack, when he was about 3 years old. So that is Jack, who's now 13.
Absolutely beautiful. Gorgeous.
And he trained in Florence and at Charles Cecil. He was there for 4 years. And he is a portrait painter. So that around our place, there are a few portraits.
Okay. One of the questions is, what did Mimi call her table? Is that type of table in the market? Can you buy it on the market?
Which table is that?
I think the one with a mirror.
Oh no, I bought it in an auction. It's an 18th century table. It belonged to quite a well-known Roman actress.
Okay. Let's see if there's any other questions coming in here. How many levels are there and how many rooms in the palazzo?
In the whole palazzo, we have two apartments above us. We have a young family living above us also. So my grandsons actually love very much to have someone. Jack, they and Vincent the same age, and Oscar also likes to go up and play with Vincent. And they go and play football in the campo together.
Maybe asking,
And then the top, there's another one on top of that with two professors that teach at the university here. There's a big architectural university in Venice.
so in the past, one family would live here
Yes,
with the
the past.
army of servants who will be doing everything for them. Now the apartments are pretty much divided by each level. So you have a
Yes,
piano nobile,
yes,
which is the highest of all. It also has the best light. If you think about the architecture of the Venetian palazzi and you are on the Grand Canal, these palazzi really have to have all of their light comes from just one side, which is the side in the Grand Canal. So you don't have really the privilege of having windows on all four sides of your home. It will be pretty much on the Grand Canal side.
I'm lucky because I look into a garden on the other side and a courtyard in the back, which is
Yeah.
our courtyard. So I have light on three sides.
But I think many
So
of the
I have
palazzi,
east light here, west light at the back, and north, and well, west light a little bit here too.
yeah,
But mostly I'm north south most of the time.
yeah, yeah. Um, there's also a question about your kitty. Tell us about your cat. She came up in the video as well.
Quasi. So Quasi was found on the side of the road by my granddaughter and brought here as a kitten, covered in fleas and very dirty. She had to be taken to the vet and bathed, and she's lived like a princess. She doesn't like to leave the palazzo. She's very nosy, though. She spends a lot of time looking on the balcony at the passing world, rather like me.
Mhm. Well, I think it's actually fascinating. I could spend days at a time just sitting at your terrace, Mimi, and looking at the world goes by because you really get kind of the sense of the time of the day. So in the morning, there's garbage trucks. And in Venice, the city where you can't really leave your garbage on the side of the road, they ring the bell, bell by bell in the entire city in the morning to pick up the garbage. People have to
Separate.
differentiate, right?
To separate.
Then you see the garbage trucks, you see the delivery trucks going by, and then you see the private taxis and the vaporettos. So it's a really
Then the
busy avenue.
deliveries like DHL. You even see funerals passing on the Grand Canal. You see weddings. You see the tourists. You see the locals in their boats. There's ambulances. There's the police. There's always something going on night and day.
Um, Today I visited a gondola making factory with my lovely group visiting Venice, and it was really lovely to talk about gondolas and how every family would actually have their own private gondola, and their gondoliers would take them around places.
Yes, they mostly moved around by boat because, in fact, that the campos were often not paved, and also the cales, and there were less streets actually because now you have, you look, you see Rio Terra would have been a street that had been filled in the 19th century. That would have been another canal.
That is why Rio Terre are the widest of all the roads that
Yes.
we get to walk on, because they would just be canals. But for the gondolas, when the Austrians came in, they said, okay, no more private gondolas, no more gondoliers. So the families no longer have that luxury of having a gondola parked by their palazzo. And plus, I think we need to move in private taxis a little bit faster.
I think Peggy Guggenheim was the last one to have her private gondoliere.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to make a reflection, Mimi. As I have now spent a few months here, and of course, Venice is the city I love, but Florence is the city I lived in since 2006, and I studied Florence deeply. Um, I realized one thing that is, I want to get your opinion on it, Mimi. In Florence or in Rome or everywhere else you go in Italy, the spirits and the ghosts of the people who were there before us are very Florentine or Roman. For example, when you're in Florence, you're always going to be thinking about Medici family.
Yes.
You see the Medicis, you see their imprint in the city, you see the artists who are working for them. But in Venice, the more I'm here, the more I realize that the ghosts of the people that are kind of with us here are actually not necessarily Venetian. We hear maybe a doge here and there, a connection to one of the ducal families or the noble families. But really, the spirits that we meet on the streets are foreign. For example, Wagner, who just lives
Yes.
across the canal, Lord Byron, who gets to swim across the canal.
Gets to swim to the leader.
He would, or Peggy Guggenheim, who now has a really thriving, beautiful museum in the city, or even Dante, who comes to visit the Arsenale, the boat making factory, and he describes this incredible place that he is amazed to see the skill and how fast they're able to actually produce things. So, Dante the Florentine, he's here. Who else? They're always foreigners that we
Well, a
kind of,
lot of painters came here.
yeah, exactly.
Canaletto,
So Canonica
John
is a local
Sargent.
sergeant. Isabella Stewart Gardner, who loves the city so much that she comes here to kind of mend her broken heart when she lost her son. So isn't it interesting? And look, we're here. You're from New Zealand,
Yes,
and I'm someone who was born in ex-Yugoslavia, and we're here, and we kind of feel at home in Venice.
absolutely.
So I think that kind of speaks about this international spirit of this place.
And I also think that Venice, unlike Florence, is a very feminine city.
Okay.
Florence, I find very masculine, it's full of power, and the buildings are very, for me, very masculine. Whereas here, I think the palazzi are very pretty
Yes.
and
Agree.
exciting and romantic.
No.
And I think I think they invite you to be maybe a little bit more elegant. And if you are to dress in a costume, you kind of feel like you're part of the history of the city.
Yeah.
And I think no other city really has that magic in
So,
Italy. So Mimi, I know we have a busy evening ahead of us. Let me check just to see if there's any other questions in the chat. They're just saying, guests are saying, it's lovely to see you, Mimi, in your beautiful home. It remains a
thank you.
treasure memory, the evening that we spent there.
Ah.
The name of the campo where the tango happens on Tuesday night is San
Giacomo
Giacomo
Delorio.
dell'Orio. It's a big campo, so traditionally, now over the years, it happens every Tuesday night, just in the summertime. How many years have you lived in Italy?
If I add it all up, um, must be getting on towards 40 years, I guess.
Wow, so is this the longest where you
This
lived
is
in
the
a place?
longest where I've ever lived, yes. When I first got married, I lived in Tuscany outside of Cortona. But this is the longest I've ever lived in one house, or one place has been here in Venice. Yes, longer than even growing up in New Zealand.
Yeah, yeah.
Or about the same time, because I left when I was about 21.
Maybe would you consider yourself Venetian?
I think we call ourselves the new Venetians, all the foreigners who live here and have made their homes here. And right now, there are a lot more people coming to live in Venice who are foreign and making it their home.
Yes.
People that are fed up, I think, since lockdown, of living in very busy cities where everything's a bit hectic. Somehow the life here is slower. And again, we've got, I think, an ambulance passing.
Mimi, thank you very much for welcoming us to your home. It's always a pleasure to be with you. I hope we managed to.
I like to share.
Yes, you really do. You have this incredible sense of generosity, Mimi, that
Thank you.
I think that kind of sprinkles also through your Instagram posts. And if you don't know Mimi's Instagram channel, definitely follow Mimi Todhunter and her hashtag Mimi's Magical Life, because you do create magic everywhere you go.
I've got a couple of fake accounts, so just make sure you're following the right one.
And I think following your account in Instagram gives everyone a chance to kind of live this Venetian life with you, and I think you do it so well. And
I hope so. I hope that I can share a little bit of what it's like to live in Venice, because what I've always discovered is as soon as I say somebody asks me where I say I live in Venice, it always creates a reaction. Like, do people still live in Venice? And to which I say, yes, there's many people living here. Just nowadays, about 50,000. There's a lot of young families here, and they say the population's going down, but I find that hard to believe because there's many young children here, and the schools are full. And I actually brought up my grandson till he was 8 here, and he was schooled and for 5 years here. And so I met a lot of the young mothers that have quite a few children because it's actually an easy place for children to live. It's very safe. You don't hear of children falling in the Grand Canal or in any of the canals for that matter. And they're able to be very independent at a young age because there are no cars. Find their way around, go off to the campo to play on their own.
yeah, yeah, it's really, really beautiful. Mimi, I
Where's Nancy? I thought Nancy wanted to say hello, my granddaughter. Nancy?
yes, yes, we should meet someone who she's, I think, you in a miniature. I have never heard. Well, I know there's a special love between a grandmother and a granddaughter, but what you guys have between you, I think it's quite special.
Nancy, she's 12.
Hi.
She's the cousin of Jack that I was talking about.
So Nancy, we have everyone who just absolutely adores grandmother. How much time do you get to spend with your grandma?
I spend like a decent amount of time with her, but I love enjoying. I enjoy a lot of time with her.
Yes. And how do you love Venice?
I love Venice because I've just pretty much grown up here. So it's always like a main vacation spot that we go to, and it's got all my family here. So obviously it's really nice.
Yes, yes. And what happens when you come to Venice? What do you plan when you come to visit from London?
We go to the beach and we go on the boat and we have lunches. And it's just really lovely.
And I had great pleasure to go and visit some of the Biennale exhibitions with you 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Isn't it so much fun to
yeah,
go around the
so
city
fun.
and always discover something new?
Yeah,
Could you ever imagine you're living here full time?
possibly when I'm older.
Yeah. What is your plan for these few days in Venice now?
I think we're going to go to the beach because it's going to be very hot tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So will you go to Lido, Mimi, to your
Yes.
favorite spot? Okay.
Yes, we'll go to Pachuca.
That's actually what makes Venice so special too, is the fact that you have a beach, you have the city,
Exactly.
but also just a quick boat ride. You're actually on the Lido.
And we're a couple of hours away from the mountain where we can ski.
Yeah. Anything else you would like to add?
It's just lovely spending time with my family.
Yes, of course. Isn't that the best blessing?
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for tuning in. It was really special to be here with Mimi and Nancy. Thank you, ladies. And this is it for the Paola Studiolo for this season. Um, I'm already lining up the guests starting with September of this year. So I wish everyone a lovely summer, and I will be in touch over the summer and especially by the end of August with the program for the upcoming Studiolo sessions. Many of them will be focused on Venice, but I will also try to make it a little bit more not only about Venice, but also Florence and Rome and maybe even beyond. And I also look forward to seeing many of you with Ross King in Florence in September, of September 20th. I see some of you nodding, and I'm looking forward to that. There's a few more spots that remain for that program in Venice. It will be for 5 full days in Florence. And in the team of Ross King and Brunelleschi, the news just broke out 2 days ago that they actually found a beautiful portrait of Brunelleschi. It was done by his adopted son. So Opera del Duomo Museum has already purchased this incredible work of art. It was actually in a private collection of family for 700 years. And they only
Amazing.
found it. They only found it recently, and the two experts were able to actually really say that this was a model that was done for the last monument of Brunelleschi that is now in the Duomo, in the Cathedral of Florence. So Opera del Duomo has this, I think it's actually made of in terracotta. So hopefully this will be displayed by the time our group comes there with Ross King to actually see this newly added piece. It doesn't really happen often that you have something from Renaissance that comes out as a surprise, which is always lovely. And then that is for September. And then next year with Mimi, we are kind of brainstorming and thinking of a trip that we will plan together to visit some of the lesser visited cities like Parma and Mantova, and also some of the villas in the Veneto. So we will send you a message about that as well if anyone wants to join us. We're thinking about May, isn't it, Mimi?
Yes.
I'll come.
You'll come? Okay, you'll be our assistant, okay? So thanks everyone for tuning in and stay safe. And I will see you all in September in the next season of Paola Studiolo. Grazie.